Welcome, everyone. My name is Lynn Schusler Williams. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm happy to be your host for our Success Partners International Wednesday training call. It's very important tonight for everyone to stay muted during our call, so please be sure you do that. If you're just joining us, please be sure you mute your line. We start every team call in Success Partners with our signature message. Each and every person on this line can say, I am part of a growing team of entrepreneurs with a shared mission of connecting 2 million new families and small businesses with Legal Shield's network of law firms and world-class identity theft services. What we do matters, and we're looking for help. And just a couple of Zoom etiquette points, since this is our very first Zoom call. We're so excited to be launching our Wednesday training call on Zoom. So as I mentioned, please be sure to keep your line muted. This is a meeting platform, so you can inadvertently mute your line or unmute your line if you're messing with your computer. And also, once a presenter starts talking, it's good etiquette on Zoom to also mute your video, which you'll see me do here in just a moment. So thanks everyone for being with us tonight. It's my great pleasure to turn the call over to a man who is a consummate entrepreneur, a wonderful coach, a mentor to all of us. He is approaching his $200,000 ring. Mr. Timmer Halligan, the Zoom room is yours.
Well, thanks so much, Lynn, and thanks for checking everybody in tonight. Wow, it's exciting. Each and every week we get our chance to do our team training call. And, Lynn, you've been so instrumental in putting together Zooms and really leading the charge with our team to have them every single day of the week. And I'm excited now to move our Wednesday night training platform over here as well, so that we can start to use more illustrative ways to be able to show people how they can get better at this business. And so excited for doing that. Appreciate you, Lynn, and welcome everybody to our Wednesday night team training call. Super excited. We're in the month of February right now, and we're just coming off of 2018, where as a company we had our best year from a membership production perspective. We came out of January and had the best month in membership production in months and months, and those were record months as well. So we're continuing to just really set new records each and every day and each and every month with Legal Shield. And so on our Wednesday night training call, a couple things. The first thing we want to do is say welcome to all the brand new associates. You've made a great decision. Like I said, you've joined a team of individuals that have really laid the pathway for us to be able to be successful. Our leaders, John and Darcy Hoffman, is part of Shield Nation, $700,000 ring earners, 65 ring earners are part of our team, lots and lots of millionaire club members that are part of our organization. We've written over 1.5 or so million memberships, which is just a staggering number when you think about it. So you are absolutely with the right team. And we're going to talk tonight a couple things. The first part of our conversation tonight is going to be talking about getting started. How do you get leveled up right out of the gates and get yourself in a place where you can start to get paid and get yourself promoted? And so I'm going to walk you through the steps that I would walk folks through when they first come on board with us in Legal Shield, because we want to keep it simple. We want to keep it easy. Again, guys, make sure if you're just coming on that you mute yourself, please. And I know, Lynn, you're keeping an eye on things, so thank you so much. But when you first come on, what do you got to do? What's the first thing that you do when you come on? Well, we're going to get you over to our Getting Started page, and I'm going to show you, some of the things that we put together to make it really, really easy, because there's a lot of things that you can do when you first start with Legal Shield. But we want to get you started. So go over to begintheascent.com. And you're going to go over to begintheascent.com. You're just going to click this Getting Started button here. And once you click this Getting Started button, we're going to walk you through what you got to do. It says, hey, congratulations on joining Legal Shield and Shield Nation. Talks a little bit about who we are as a team, gives you an access right here to the website that will take you over there for further training and development. But right now, we're going to stay right here. because right here is the only place that you really need to put your focus on, because you come right at this spot and you click this button right here, and it's going to go ahead and open up the first steps that we're going to do. And so I'm going to walk you through right now the first steps that associates are going to take when they come on board. So you're going to come right here and you're going to click on that button, and you're going to go right here where it says Getting Started Right. Welcome to Legal Shield. Now this gentleman right here, Mr. Darnell Self, has earned over $15 million with our company. He's been with our company over 20 years. This gentleman has created, you know, dozens and dozens of millionaires. He works at our corporate office as well, and he's going to walk you through this first step. And I'm going to take you real quick to this first step document that we've got, what makes it real simple to just check things off as we're moving through. And so you can notice it says right here, step 1, get started. Enroll as a Legal Shield and ID Shield member. Enroll as an associate, which you have at this point. And now we're going to help you to get connected. We're going to make sure that you know how to get to your website. Notice it says, get ready to enroll new members. Login name.wearelegalshield.com, or ladies, if you want to be able to customize it to a Ladies of Justice movement that we are part of, then you can do that as well. You just put in your login name and whatever ending on that domain that you want, but it tells you right there to also download the Legal Shield app and to download the ID Shield app, and make sure your Prospect by Legal Shield app is downloaded, and I'll show you in just a second where you can find that. Join the various Facebook groups. You know, we've got our own Facebook group as well, and it talks about the corporate ones here. And it talks about, you know, making your list, and I'm going to show you where you can find this information in just a second. And it talks about the memory jogger. So you're going to work on putting that list together here. But before we get there, we're going to make sure that we use our membership, guys. It is so important, and that's right there in that step 2, that you get on the phone with your law firm. You start to get your will prepared. You start to get that stuff taken care of, because you know what, once you use the Legal Shield membership and it goes from your head down to your heart, you understand the peace of mind that you feel on that end of the phone when you're speaking to an attorney and you're not worried about getting a bill, or when you get your will submitted, or, you know, heck, when you use the member perks and you realize that you can save money with this membership on things that you do all the time. It makes it real easy. Then we go ahead and put together that list. Then we're going to invite people to take a look at this information, guys. What are we going to do? We're going to simply invite them to take a look at this information. And I'll show you a place where you can get a great resource to learn how to do that. But it's as simple as asking somebody what they're doing at a particular time. Notice it says we can, you know, send them some information from Prospect by Legal Shield. Your sponsor can help you to understand that. It's an unbelievable marketing system that will give you the opportunity to send videos out, email videos out, text videos out, the ability to put things over onto social media. We can invite them to a Zoom presentation like this. How cool is that? We can just bring them onto this platform. We can do a quick presentation. They get to see the information. We send them back to your website. They get set up, right? We're going to invite them to, you know, do a 2-on-1 sit down. Maybe get together with you and your sponsor or one other person. You know, we're going to do a private business reception. Bring some people together over at your house, right? We're going to bring them together at your house, maybe your apartment, maybe your office building, something like that. You know, we've got live presentations that go on. The company does things on a daily basis. Listen, there is not a shortage of things that we can do. So the first step is, you know, knowing how to get yourself set up, getting your list made, then go ahead and inviting people to look at the information that we have. And then it's going to be about, you know, it says down here, third party. What does that mean? That means you're going to use other people, you know, to help you. So if, let's say I was blessed enough to bring Miss Lynn Schuessler Williams on, who you know, kicked the call off tonight, I'd sit down with her and I'd go through with her all of this information. And then what we would do is, after she gets some people to invite to the information, after they've maybe been on a Zoom, maybe they've been at the private business reception, maybe they've seen a video, we're going to get on a 3-way call. I'm going to do the presentation. See, Lynn knows the person. I know the information, because Lynn's brand new. She introduces me to the person. Let's say I was fortunate enough to be introduced to Miss April Hurst, who's our guest speaker tonight, and I'm going to turn it over to her in just a minute. But, you know, I'm just going to have a conversation with April. Let's say Lynn knew April, and Lynn introduced April by giving her a video or putting her onto a Zoom or going to a live event, and now I'm going to come in and she's going to introduce me to her, and I'm going to have a conversation with April, and we're going to move her forward. We're going to get her set up, and we're going to get her signed up, because in doing so, we help you to level up. And so we're going to talk a little bit about right now, what does that mean? You got your list together, you're fired up, you've used the membership, you've called the law firm, you've got your will prepared, you've invited some people to look at information. Now, what do you got to do? Well, we set our goal. Our goal is to help you in the first 20 days to be able to level up. What does that mean? That means you're going to add 3 memberships and 1 associate, right? We're going to help you to add 3 memberships and 1 associate. And now when you do that, you're going to then get promoted from the associate level that you're at right now to the senior associate level. You're going to go out and write that first membership. Guess what? You're going to get $60 for that first membership if it's the $49 plan. And if it's a different plan, the rate may go down, or the commission may go down a little bit. But on that family plan, $49, when you sell that first membership, notice where it says Mad Streak Bonus, you're going to get $25 extra for marketing that first membership. Then when you bring on your first associate that's got the membership, you're going to get another $25 bonus. So now you've earned $50 in bonuses. You're going to earn $180 just for the fact that you leveled up, plus the commissions that you got from the memberships that you marketed. I mean, just take a look at what that really means for you guys. We're looking $300, $400, $500, depending, especially right now, if you live in the state of Illinois or in the state of Alabama, they've increased the bonuses. But new associates, you've got one thing to worry about and one thing to be able to look at. And that is to be able to stay right here over on this page that we have. And to be able to go to this begintheascent.com, go to the getting started page, which I'm going to bring us back to here, real quick, because it's important to see what I'm going to show you here. So you get back over to this Begin the Ascent page. We've made it really, really simple when you get over here. So you don't have to fumble around. Right here, guys, is a calendar, because you may be looking to figure out what's going on in your area. You click on that calendar right there. It shows you where all your local events are. You want to log into your back office at Legal Shield, you do it right from here. You want to check out what we've got going on over our Facebook page, you go right here. You want to see what we have once we get leveled up over at shieldnation.com and get everybody started, you simply go right there, guys. We've got everything put together. Simply go right here, go to the Getting Started page, come down here, go ahead and click on this picture right here, open it up, follow the steps. They are simple, they are easy. Do that with your sponsor, and I can promise you, you're going to have the opportunity to be able to level up and take your business to the next level. And so now I have the pleasure to be able to turn this over right now. And Lynn, I believe I'll stop sharing my screen. Is that correct? So that I can turn
Yes, sir.
All right, so I hit the stop share button. And now what I'm going to do is take this call in this Zoom meeting that we're going to have and turn it over to a lady that, guys, I had an opportunity to meet many years ago when we were both brand new. I mean, we really didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. That's all I remember. And I remember she was getting ready to move to Ohio. And she moved down to Ohio. And then I started to really follow what she's doing. She's got her Chicago roots. I can definitely say that. And we learned a lot together. We failed a lot together when we were in Chicago. She moved away and has become a ring earner now in the state of Ohio. She is the network vice president for the state of Ohio, for the state of West Virginia, for the state of Pennsylvania, or a portion of that. And am I missing one? I think I could be missing one. She'll fill that in just a second. I mean, she's 70 months, guys, in Performance Club. She did a training the other day on our leadership show. And I mean, literally the second she did it, I reached out because I figured everybody in the company was probably reaching out to her at that exact moment to say, wow, you are absolutely awesome. And so we are blessed to have Miss April Hurst on tonight. April, are you there, young lady?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
You are coming through perfect.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys. Certainly love everyone in Shield Nation, Success Partners, Team Ascent. Y'all are all my friends because we're all just one big happy family here inside of Legal Shield. So I'm excited to share. I'm going to share a couple things tonight. I'm going to share my journey. And it's been a journey for sure. I'm also going to share a little bit about kind of what took me from just being a PC qualifier to a Power 20 Senior Director, Executive Director, what got us to the 50K ring, and what we're doing to get to the 100K ring. And so I just have to say, though, family, it's always humbling, and I'm honored to share. But you guys have leadership that, like, I've been trying to get Timmer in Ohio for a while because I want him to pour his amazing expertise into everyone in my marketplace. So I know we're in the process of trying to get that together sometime in 2019. But you guys have phenomenal leadership. I mean, the Hoffmans, very dear friends of me and my husband, Rob. Obviously John Drennan, I'm going to talk about Mr. Drennan a little bit in my training, and a key tip that he gave me that pushed me to executive director, and obviously with Timmer Halligan. So I just want to say thank you to your leadership. You guys are in really phenomenal hands, and I always learn something from you guys as well. So let's just hop right in. My background is in corporate America. I worked in the advertising industry. I was basically downsized, if that's what you want to call it, in the middle of the recession. My girlfriend shared Legal Shield with me about 18 months before my company started pay cuts and layoffs. And I was a young, senior level manager at my company. I was covering about 14 states. I was traveling 50 weeks a year. I only took 2 weeks off for travel. That was Thanksgiving and Christmas. But I traveled every single week. I normally left on a Tuesday morning, came back Friday morning. That was my life for a very long time. I was burnt out on that after about 5 years. It's really glamorous and exciting for about 5 years. Then after that, it really sucks. And so I was really looking for something. But sometimes when you're doing something for so long, you don't even know what else you're good at. And some of you may relate to that. It's like, well, I've always been an engineer, and I've always been a plumber, or I've always been a teacher, or whatever. I've always been in the security industry, whatever it is. And so you don't even know what else you're good at. All my friends were in the advertising industry because we all worked hellacious hours, So I didn't even know what the possibilities were, to be quite honest with you, until Legal Shield came into my life. And so I was very grateful when she did. She shared with me the information the right way. And that's key, because I didn't even realize it until years later, but somebody had actually mentioned Legal Shield to me before, but it was in a conversation, not in a presentation. And so when I finally did see Legal Shield in an actual presentation, and my first exposure was a PBR in about a 450 square foot studio apartment of my girlfriend. But then when I saw the presentation, it clicked, it made sense. So that's how I was introduced, was through a PBR. There were 4 people there. 1 person signed up, and that was me, right? So that's, I guess, not really a part of my training, but I will mention it. I was the last person that she invited to her private business reception because I was the really successful friend. I was making over a 6-figure income. She didn't think I'd be into something like that, but she invited me like real last minute, like 2 days before. And I came, and it was a fit for me. It wasn't a fit for anybody else in that room, but it was a fit for me. So I'm very grateful to her. So I'm going to talk a little bit first just about some philosophies. So I think philosophies are so incredibly important, and the how-tos don't really matter if you don't have the right philosophies when it comes to how you are approaching life, business, family, friendships, everything. And so I have a couple core philosophies here that I live by before I talk about the how-tos. The first one, and I live by this one, which is the speed of the leader determines the pace of the pack. And so every single one of us, when we get started in Legal Shield, we really are leaders, whether we realize it or not. We may not have like a particular, leadership title, or we may not be a field leader, but you are a leader. And when you recruit your first person, you absolutely are ushering someone in their process of getting started. And so I've always taken that very seriously. I realize that everything that I do has meaning. And so I always want my team to be able to say, you know what, no excuses, April's figuring it out, I can figure it out. She's getting in her 2 to 5 a day, I can get in my 2 to 5 a day. She's making her calls, I can make my calls. So I always just want to make sure that I, as a leader, am setting a pace for what my team can do, right? And so that's my first one. The second one is fast is fun and slow is painful. I actually learned that from the great Rob McKenzie. Many of you know him. He said that at a luncheon in Cincinnati years ago. I never forgot it. And so some of you have seen some of my posts on social media these days, and I'm running real fast right now, but it's because I know that running fast is way more fun than crawling, okay? Because our business is one that feeds off of momentum. And so once you start to generate momentum, you want to do your best to keep that. And so that's a huge part of how I try and, kind of live my business life, is that fast is fun and slow is painful. It's tough when you may only be recruiting one person every 3 to 4 months, right? But if you recruit them in bunches, 3 in 1 month versus 3 over 6 months, then now you start to create a little bit of synergy and momentum with that group. The third one is, and I actually heard TD Jake say this yesterday, and I'm adopting it as a new philosophy, which is it costs to win. And we just saw the Super Bowl, right? Many of us watched it. And and I'm not going to get into the whole Tom Brady thing. You may love Brady, you may hate Brady. It doesn't matter. But here's the reality. Brady was passed over. I am a huge Michael Jordan fan, though, and I'm going to talk about Jordan as well. But Brady and Jordan, to me, are very similar. Brady was passed over in the draft, just like Michael Jordan was passed over several times in the draft. And I think sometimes when people overlook you, you have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder and you have something to prove. And so when I was downsized from corporate America, I had a little chip on my shoulder because I was like, you know what? I've worked hard. I came out of college making $28,000 a year, made my way to a 6-figure income within 5 years, changed companies, changed cities 3 times to get that done. And I was a little miffed that, I was sold this bill of goods and felt that I had worked so hard, and then quickly began to realize that anybody could take that away from me. So I heard Harold Branch say this many years ago, and he said that this is the best business for people who have won, but they have not won in a while. And that was me. I was used to winning in my, professional life, but when the recession hit and pay cuts started, I had 4 pay cuts in 18 months. My income went from like over 6 figures to like 70,000, like that. And for those of you who live in Chicago, that's a huge pay cut with cost of living. And so I was so grateful when Legal Shield did come into my life. But I knew that when I came here, it was a different ball game. I knew that it was something that no one was going to just say, hey, because of your education and your experience, this is what you're going to earn. I had to actually go out, do the work, and earn it. So I felt so much joy when my husband and I earned our $50,000 ring, because that was 0 to 50,000 in 12 months, right? That wasn't somebody looking at my resume saying, hey, we think you're worth $50,000. And so I'm so grateful for that. So for some people, they may look at that and say, it's just 50,000. For me, it was everything, because it was a huge milestone, and it proved to me that I could win here, and that I could win big, and I could win again. But it does cost, right? So it doesn't come just because you're cute or you have a great professional background. It's like, no, you actually have to do the work. And then the next one is trust the journey, have faith, and do the work. So some people say trust the process. That's difficult for me mentally. I like to say trust the journey, because it is a journey, which in my mind is even bigger than just a process. A process, I feel like, is something that kind of starts and then the process ends. But a journey is kind of ongoing. So I'm trusting the journey. I'm trusting that everything that I'm doing is going to contribute to a higher good. And that might be my higher good. That might be the higher good of somebody that I expose Legal Shield to. But I'm just trusting that journey, and I'm having faith in everything that I'm doing. And I'm going to talk about the how-tos here in a second, but I'm having faith that every single thing that I'm doing is going to get me to the places that I'm looking to go, right? In my business and as well as in my personal and family life. And then I have to do the work. So I've got to trust the journey. I've got to have faith. And then I have to back up that faith with my work ethic. And so I just, that's kind of how I'm living, because trust me, guys, there are days when I'm like, okay, where are the results, right, of what I did today or the last 3 days or the last 4 days? And you have to kind of look at this business like a funnel, right? So you're putting all this effort up here, and then it's like it's getting squeezed through this, you know, little space here, and then it just boom, and it just kind of comes out in a gush. And I'm just starting to see the gush start to happen after about 4 weeks of all-out massive action. So I'm going to talk to you guys again about that here a little bit more, but just to give you some perspective on that. Number 5 is you must have a vision and dogged determination. I look at myself like a absolute bulldog. You know, if in my, I had a brother, I have 5 brothers actually, 5 older brothers. One of my brothers used to raise bulldogs, and he used to put a rag in the bulldog's mouth, and he would just, you know, yank it back and forth. And I didn't care what, that dog was not letting go, no matter what. And so I kind of look at myself that way. You might knock me down. Somebody, I could get 10 no's in a day. I could go out and do, you know, 6 sit downs. Everybody tells me not right now, looks good, but I don't know, maybe I'll wait, whatever. I don't care. I'm a bulldog. I'm going to get it done. I'm going to make it happen. So it doesn't matter what happens on any particular day. I'm just not going to let go of my dream. That rag in that dog's mouth is my dream. It is what I am doing all of this work for. So you really have to have that dogged determination in order to have success. So those are just philosophies, like I said, you know, that I really live by. And so once you have the right philosophies, now you actually can start to develop the right habits and activities. So when it comes to my activity, I'm going to talk about when I was part-time, and technically I'm still part-time, you know, but let's just say when I had a full-time job. Okay. So when I had a full-time job, I basically went through a couple different things on a consistent basis that helped me to fill my calendar. Number 1, if you're taking notes, is never eat alone, which means I normally was in the office at 8:30 every morning. I normally took an hour lunch every day. And then I normally left the office at about 5:30, 5:45. That was my life for many, many years. So never eat alone. What that meant is I had coffee in the morning, a lunch appointment, and then a sit down after work, like clockwork, like 3 days a week. Okay. So never eat alone. If somebody said, oh, I got to be at the office by 8:30. Oh, me too. No problem. Let's get together for coffee at 7:30 at that Panera right off the exit where we work. Okay. Yeah, that's great. I would do that 3, sometimes 4 days a week, but I would make sure that I was consistently doing about 2 to 3 sit downs, about 3 days a week. Okay. So that's how I just allowed myself to make sure that I was getting in front of people. And sometimes when I got in front of them, maybe I just met them, right? Maybe I met them on social media or something. And oftentimes what I would do is I would meet with them. I would have coffee with them, really, you know, kind of get to know them. And then I would just say, hey, you know, of course, eventually they want to know what you do and get into more detail. And then I would just say, hey, well, look, you got your earbuds with you, or if we were in a quiet place, I would just go ahead and share with them a short membership video. My intention was in that initial interaction was not necessarily to sell a membership, but it was to pique some interest so that I could invite them to an event. So the event could be a luncheon, it could have been a briefing, could have been a Super Saturday. And then some of those appointments turned into follow-up appointments for an actual, you know, presentation. But the point is I was really just trying to get in front of people. And these were mostly people that I did not have an existing relationship with, because I was doing a lot of cold market when I moved back to Cincinnati. I didn't know a whole lot of people. Most of my friends had left the city. So that's what I was doing. So I remember Drennan came into Cincinnati for a briefing, and I asked him, I said, look, I really am trying to get my business to the next level. I've been pacing at 10 to 15 organizational sales a month. I'm really trying to get to over 20. What would be your advice? And he said, well, are there any luncheons going on? I said, no. He said, well, I would suggest you start a luncheon. So that's what I did. I found a venue that was right around the corner from my office. So literally at 11:45, well, 11:40 every day, I would close my laptop, run around the corner, hook my laptop up to the TV. And all I was doing every single week up until that Friday is every single time I'd run down and grab a coffee. I don't care if I was at a coffee shop, grab a newspaper, whatever. I would make sure that I got those exposures that, oh, hey, do you work in the building? Yeah, okay, awesome. Let's exchange cards real quick. Yeah, I actually do a networking luncheon on Fridays around the corner. I'll send you some information. You should come check out and see what I'm doing. Okay, yeah, cool. I mean, people were always just trying to, meet folks or whatever downtown. So that's what I was doing. So I would just literally network all week, typically right around downtown where I was working. And then I would invite all those people to the luncheon, and then boom, I remember the first luncheon that I did, my kickoff luncheon. I had 9 guests there, and they were all my guests because it was my luncheon. I had 9 guests there, and within 72 hours, everybody bought a membership. And 2 people, I'm pretty sure, bought business plans. 2 or 3 bought business plans. I made like $1,000 within that week. And I was like, okay, this luncheon thing really works. And so I utilized that luncheon to keep me performance qualified. And I was pacing at about 8 to 10 memberships a month just out of that luncheon. It was awesome. And then what I would do is roll some of those people into a recruiting event, right? Because I would ask for referrals. Y'all know about R3, referrals to the power of 3. I didn't even know about that back then, but that's kind of what I was doing. So I would ask for referrals, and then some of those people would say, yeah, I know people would be interested in this. Well, maybe you should take a look at, how we actually compensate people for those referrals. And then those would oftentimes be guests that I would have at Super Saturday. So that is what I utilized for that. And then so that's kind of what I was doing when I was part-time. So I'm going to end with this, what I'm doing now. So what I'm doing now there were, over 50,000, but it's like, okay, how do we get to the next level, which is the 6-figure ring? Again, speed of the leader determines the pace of the pack. So I decided I was going to take some advice from Steve Melia that I've heard him train on for like 10 years now, which is the 50 calls a day. This is what I'm going to say about 50 calls a day. That's what I'm doing. You have to find what you're going to do. You might be doing 10 calls a day. And I love what Elizabeth Gardner often says. She says, it doesn't matter what your number is, just do the number. So if your number is 10 calls a day, do your 10. Do whatever you can do that will give you the confidence and the excitement to go do it the next day, right? So for me, I've been in the game a little bit longer, so 50 calls a day is what I personally need to do to get to the 6-figure ring. If you're new, you might be working with your sponsor to do 5 to 10. If you're a little more seasoned, you might be doing 20 to 25. I'm doing 50 because that's what I personally need to do to get my business to the next level. And that's what I can carve out consistently, okay? Because it's only about 3 hours of work, honestly. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm averaging about 5 exposures out of those calls and about 2 sit-down appointments. And I'm just gonna show y'all something real quick as I wrap up. Okay, here is what my calendar looks like. I love the fact that this is on Zoom because now y'all can actually see. So this is my calendar, and what I do, you can see the green. Everything that's green is a money-making appointment. I think I had 8 this week, okay? But what it's doing is it's filling up my calendar. So it's like I never not have somebody to see on that day, right? So that's, guests at a briefing, a sit-down appointment, whatever, right? But that's what I'm doing. Some of these are socials for Ladies of Justice, right? That I had guests confirmed at, which is the bomb, by the way. Love Ladies of Justice. So anyway, that's what it's doing, is it's filling up my calendar. And I do those calls in different blocks. Like sometimes I'll do an hour over lunch. Sometimes I'll do 2 hours at night. Sometimes I'll just go straight through 6 to 9 and knock them all out. It just depends on what appointments I have that day. But the main thing is that it doesn't matter what the number is. You might say, you know what, I'm starting with 10. And I'm just going to do 10 every single day. You will be amazed at what the compound effect of 10 a day is actually going to do. It would blow your mind, actually. If you actually did it 7 days a week for 90 days, right? So I'm only 4 weeks into doing this because I started it on the 14th. Well, I think I'm actually in the 5th week now. But I'm just now, like just this week, actually starting to see the groundswell of the results of that compounded activity, right? And so like we have Kevin Mack and Brooke Calhoun this weekend. And so far I have 7 guests confirmed between the Super Saturday as well as the luncheon, actually more for, or not the luncheon, the dinner presentation. 4 and 3 is actually the numbers. And so I'm excited about that. But these are mostly people that I have met with over the last 5 weeks. So I utilize the Super Saturday as like my big game day. And I did that even when I was part-time. I always focused on having a minimum of 3 guests at every Super Saturday. And it was all just based upon that luncheon that I was doing, all those appointments that never eat alone, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It just ensured that when I would go into Super Saturday, I was going to have guests because I had already built trust with these people. They had already seen a video. They had already knew what the membership was, but they may or may not have seen anything on the opportunity. So that's about all I've got, Timmer, on philosophies, as well as what I was doing when I was part-time and what I am doing now. So I hope that is helpful for you guys, but just get a number, stick to the number, and do it 7 days a week.
April, that was awesome. You know, as I was sitting there listening, I felt like you were sharing my story. That was what was so interesting. I mean, I'm sitting there listening and I'm thinking about when I used to work in corporate America, and I would, you know, drive downtown Chicago from, you know, out in Plainfield area. It would take me an hour and a half to get there, and it would take me an hour and a half, sometimes 2 or 3 hours. One time it took me 6 hours in the snow to get back home. And you know, I had my one luncheon, and it came from John Drennan. You know, he called me and he said, hey, how many people do you think you can put in a room? And I was already used to doing some networking, and I said, I think I can put 20, and I think I had 19. And he said, you should start a luncheon. So then I started a luncheon, and that luncheon, you know, it had its great days, it had its okay days, but it was always there. And that was, you know, that got Performance Club done. You know, that got things really working. And you know, never eating alone. It was like, hey, what time you got to be at work? Listen, I got to be there at 8:32. We could just meet right next door. Even if I didn't have to be there at 8:30, I'd tell them I got to be there at 8:30, and you know, then meet somebody for lunch and then meet somebody after. That's what this business is so fun. And now you think about it, your business is about having coffee with people that you choose to have coffee with, having lunch with people that you want to have lunch with, and maybe grabbing a glass of wine or whatever at a networking event with people you want to have fun with. You know, and so I think that's just tremendous. And, you know, Steve Mealia obviously was a big influence in me. I remember in 2011 being at the convention where they became Legal Shield for prepaid legal. And he said, hey, go on this 90-day run. And I'm like, it can't be that easy. You know, I go, I'm just going to try it just to, you know, see if it works. And daggone it if it didn't. So I thank him today. Well, what's that one word of advice right now that you give to that person who's, you know, trying to, I love these mad streaks, you know, I love the mad streak bonus, you know, recognizing that one membership, you know, and, you know, then getting into Performance Club. But what do you say to that person that's, you know, brand new, trying to get on the board? You know, I love the, you know, I've said it forever too, winners that haven't won in a while. I think that's just, you know, we are so welcoming to champions in this business. But what do you say to that person that feels like, you know what, I feel like I don't have enough time. You know, I feel like nobody's listening right now, and, you know, I'm just feeling kind of stuck. What do you say to that person, April?
Yeah, I say, because I've been there too, when I just felt like I couldn't seem to get out of the starting block, or I felt like I had talked to everybody. And the best thing you can do in those circumstances is to connect with your leadership. Because I feel like oftentimes we're in our head in this business. And it really just starts with connecting with your leadership and saying, look, set a goal. This is what I want to do. It might just be, I want to sell 1 membership this month, right? So I can get in the match streak. It might just be that. And if that's what it is, it's called connect with your sponsor, connect with your leadership, and utilize them to assist you to get the information to the people that are on your list. Because I think sometimes when we're new, we're excited, yet we may not have the language or the process down yet on how to actually get people properly exposed to the information. So sometimes you just have to start over, create a fresh list of 25 to 30 people, get with your support team, and let them help you to actually get those calls made. Role play with them. I'm a huge role play fan. I role play with every new associate, even existing associates who might just be out of practice. Do some quick role play and get some people on a Zoom call, get them to an event, get them to a Ladies of Justice event. But just don't do it alone. This is a team sport. That's the biggest advice I have.
Excellent. I think I love what you said, reach out to your support team. And, even if your goal is one membership, I think sometimes that we think that we got to have such big goals or else no one wants to recognize them and run with us to get them. And every big goal starts with one membership. And that's a great goal to have. All right, as we wrap up, will you fill us all in? We got, 55 folks here, more will be watching. Tell us what's happening in Cincinnati this weekend. I know you guys got something big in Ohio, right?
Yes, we have the Tri-State Regional. Actually, it's like a 5-state regional from West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Kentucky. Even some folks are coming up from Nashville as well for the Fire and Ice Tour. So if you know anybody in those states, we're going to have $300,000 ring earner and Platinum World Council member Burt Calhoun, as well as Platinum Executive Director, Millionaire Club member Mr. Kevin Mack. We've never had them in the same city together here in Ohio, so we're very excited about that. And they are workout partners. A lot of people don't know that. And so they're excited to just be together for 2 days. And I know many of you on the line will be there, but if you have family, friends, guests you want to get out, or a team, all my contact information is on the calendar. I'm happy to help you get guests out. And all new associates who started February 1st or later are free to the event. So we're excited.
Well, you are awesome. Thank you so much, April. I know planning that event this weekend, you got a lot of loose ends to tie up, but you got great leadership there. Tell your husband we said hey, and really appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, listen, that wraps up our first Wednesday night Zoom meeting. What a great night. Next week, we've got, Mr. Curlins Cassius is going to be on here. He is super excited. He's got a presentation already set for us. So I'm looking forward to next week. And guys, I appreciate you joining us tonight. Everybody have a great night. Bye-bye for now.